r/AskReddit by Reddit and chill. What was your "the universe is ducking with me" moment? The evening of my first day without a cigarette in 15 years, I came across a full pack of smokes lying on a window ledge. Laughter ensued. I never had found even one discarded cigarette before. Nor since. I was really proud of myself because I didn't buy any on the way to a music festival. Guess what comes flying out of the sky during the first set break? My favorite brand. 2. Also the source of one of the coolest hallucinations I've ever had. End of the last night I was smoking and I felt a little girl grab the hand holding the smoke. Except it was midnight at a music festival. So it wasn't a little girl. I was feeling the smoke curling its way up my arm. Freaked me out good. I stubbed it out and tossed the pack into a crowd. Easy come. Easy go. Back when I was a kid, I borrowed a CD of my dad's without asking. And it ended up becoming lost. We looked everywhere, but it was never found. It was a very unique CD and couldn't be replaced. Dad scolded me. But worse. As only a dad can do. He would tease me about it. Example. We'd be riding in the car and he'd sarcastically say, "Boy, it'd sure be nice to listen to that CD. I wonder where it could be." He never forgot. And he made sure that I never forgot either. Fast forward 10 years. My dad died unexpectedly while at work. It was absolutely devastating. He was everything to me and my family. And we were broken. Thankfully, the universe, or someone something, made sure to let us know everything was going to be okay. After we arrived home from the funeral, my mom, siblings, and I were sitting around in silent shock. It was Christmas time. So my brother thought he'd try lightening the mood by playing some Christmas music. He went into the CD cabinet. And there, sitting right in front, was the missing CD. We'd gone into this CD cabinet many times a week for years and years. There was no way we could have missed it. That CD had been missing for 10 years. It was like someone placed it there for us to find. We burst into tears and cried until we couldn't. It was beyond belief. My dad was a scientist, didn't believe in anything that couldn't be proven. After he died, several things like this happened to me and my siblings. August 2019. First weekend in August, I get mugged and punched on a night out. Lose my phone, wallet, keys. The same weekend my dad and second mum split up after 15 years. The weekend after, my mum goes on holiday. The first night she's away and I'm watching the dogs. The eldest passes away in the midnight vet as I'm holding her. About 3 days before she comes home, I get rushed into hospital with supposed sepsis and have surgery. Luckily I was in and out within a week. The last weekend of August my car breaks down and costs me £300 plus in repairs. August can duck off. I am not leaving the house next August. March is the bad month for my family. 2013. Aunt passed. 2014. Great grandma passed. 2015. House burned down. 2016. My sister almost died. And nephew was stillborn. 2017. My sister arrested in a drug sting. 2018. My brakes failed and I hit a tree. 2019. 2 cousins diagnosed with cancer. Obligatory not me, but my mother-in-law. She claims she is cursed and ends up in the hospital every the 1st of April. Without fail. It started when she was a child. And every year something different gets her. A dog mauling her. A car accident. The balcony security rail giving out and making her fall down 3 stories. Numerous wounds from other people's April Fool pranks going wrong. Etc. She even has a bunch of scars. And she can tell you which April 1st caused which scar. Complete with a full story. 1 the 1st of April. We were staying at her place and she made a pillow bunker in her bedroom and literally waited out the entire day in there. She promised to herself that this would be the 1st of April in decades without a hospital visit. Midnight arrived and she triumphantly left her pillow fort, unharmed and victorious. To celebrate, she decided to cook hamburgers for the whole family. The pan, full of burning hot oil, somehow slipped from her hands in such a way that all the oil spilled on her arm. An ambulance had to be called and she needed skin grafts. My personal theory is that the universe got mad. She tried to fight back and turned the 1st of April curse up to 11. To be fair, the pan slipping is within her control, so it could be a self-fulfilling prophecy on a subconscious level. When my dog ran out into the street and a car almost hit it, but the car stopped, looked at me, back at my dog, then slammed on the gas pedal, running my dog over in the process. What the duck? Did you call the cops? Tell them the number? WTF, seriously. WTF. While getting dumped, I was shat on by a pigeon. That's a crappy feeling. Right after moving, I was in a car accident on the freeway during rush hour. Back end of my car was crunched while it was sitting in the parking lot of a collision center waiting to be repaired. A semi backed into the front end. The collision center was right next to a trucking company. When my husband called to tell me what had happened, I thought he was joking. This is the best one in the thread for me, lol. Just yesterday, we had a meeting about restructuring pay, wages and titles. I was the logistics team lead for 6 years before starting up our facilities department 2 years ago. The meeting is going along, then they mention moving up in the company, which piqued my interest. I swapped departments because they didn't want a logistics manager at this site. They then explain that after 2 years in a position, they will be either moving people into manager positions or expert positions for people who don't have manager skills or are a department of one like mine. Those positions will be expected to take on 1 project a year. I'm sitting there dumbfounded. I've been doing multiple projects every year while running the full logistics department. I've completely built our facilities department from the ground up. I've done back-to-back 500k this projects this year alone. After the meeting, I met with HR and the GM to ask, what does this mean for me? How am I going to get bumped up? I was told time doesn't start until this year, so I'm 2 years from a manager's position and the 20k that comes with it. I just had my resume professionally done and I'm sending it out. Duck this company. Damn. Sorry to hear that, man. It sounds so messed up. Are they still expecting you to continue to head the department? I have had major food poisoning and had to call out on my first day of work to a spiffy new high-paying job. Twice. Dad's got Sjögren's syndrome and ME. I've got ME and POTS. Mum just got diagnosed with vascular dementia. Can't keep getting worse, right? Dog got diagnosed with diabetes last year. Now he has an inoperable liver tumor. It's beginning to take the piss a little. I feel like that guy from the story about being pressed to death and just saying more weight. Hey, if you need to want to talk, shoot me a DM. I don't know much about where you're at, but I care and I'll listen. Life threw everything it had at you, and you came out on top. You ducking rock. It was my 21st birthday. I was enjoying a nice birthday breakfast when my neighbor buzzed the intercom and told me someone had run over my cat. She survived, but now she's blind and she was in a lot of pain for quite a while. Around a year or so later, more or less in the same period, it was like 1 or 2 months after my birthday, she was poisoned with rat poison. She survived, but she was in a lot of, well, pain. As last time. For a few weeks. In that moment I knew the universe hated my cat and me. 7 more lives to go. Every time I learn something the night before or the morning of, it somehow appears throughout my day. IDK how or why some things would even appear in daily conversation. Bader-Meinhof effect. You can't save this file because it's currently open. I know it's open. I made a change and I'm trying to save said change. Comma. My work computer has told me that few times too. I'm like, I know. I opened it. Cut off contact with a horrible ex around May of this year, and last week I finally decided to clear all of her shit out of my car. Some clothes and random junk. Got it all bagged up and tossed out. The very next day I turned a corner at the store and there she was. I haven't seen or spoken to her in 6 months, and the day after I try to remove items that remind me of her, I almost run right into her. The building I work in has 2 one-person bathrooms. In between them, the wall is set back few feet from the rest of the hallway. In that gap is a water fountain. A couple of months ago, I went to the drinking fountain to fill up my water bottle. Except there was no water fountain. The wall between the bathroom doors was completely filled in. I walked away from it, looked around the hallway, and then walked back to the area where the drinking fountain was supposed to be. But it was still gone. Thinking I was crazy, I ended up going back to my office and asking my co-workers if we'd ever had a drinking fountain there to begin with. Of course. They said that there was. I went back to the fountain a third time. And it was there. The same as always. This hasn't happened since. I'm still not sure what the hell was going on that day. It's a rotating wall. There's a secret button on the water fountain that flips the wall around. It's like in Scooby-Doo when Shaggy accidentally hits the switch on a statue or some shit and the whole wall rotates from behind it. There is definitely a secret room behind the water fountain. The other week, I found out 2 out of 3 people in a particular friend group are into me. Of course. Third person is the person I'm into. So the wife was in Newfoundland and I was in Ottawa. We were moving and she went on ahead while I stay behind to finish my job and pack up the house. Bored one night I went to a bar and started chatting with a couple of college girls I met. One thing led to another and they invite me back to their place for a threesome. So here I am thinking, there's no way the wife could find out. I'm leaving town in a few days so there's no way this could ever blow back on me. And these girls were hot. And I turned them down. Even if my wife would never know, I would. I had too much respect for our marriage to do something like that. 3 years later we were divorced because she was sleeping with 5 other men. Ouch. I kinda expected it was over after the 4th paragraph. But that 5th one. Didn't see that coming. Which, I guess you didn't either. It was my birthday weekend. I helped someone jumpstart their car in the morning. Later on, LA has the most rain it's had in 6 years. The storm drain near my house get backed up. My house gets flooded. And was the only one on the block to be affected. Was with an ex a few years back that I was starting to wonder if I should break up with. Nothing crazy. We were just at different places in our lives and I wasn't sure if I should keep trying to make it work. She'd given me a watch as a gift and I came home from work one day and took it off before I was gonna start cooking dinner. I put it on the counter at least 2 inches from the edge. I turned around to get something out of the fridge and almost immediately heard something fall and hit the ground. It was the watch that had somehow fallen off the counter. It was busted up pretty good and I just didn't care. My first instinct was to just chuck it in the trash. That's when I realized that yep, I needed to break up with her. As someone who is going through a breakup, that hurts lol. I've had 3 instances in my life where I've gotten decent raises at work. Gotten home to share the news with my wife to find out she's accepted a new position at a new job for less money or decided to change careers that will require her to quit work altogether. Like within days of making a little extra money we take a large financial hit. But she's the love of my life and she's doing what she wants now. So it's all good. Whenever I get a raise or a bonus something breaks in the house taking a chunk of that. Maybe it just seems that way. Either way I'm grateful for the extra funds to address that expense. There was an achievement for a game that was to get 10 million points by a certain point. I finished with only 9,999,990 points. Literally within 1 millionth of variance. It was Sonic Spinball on the Genesis Collection, PS3, BTW. This is a special kind of heartbreaking. It all began when I was born. Both my father and my mother failed to show up. I was working for this place that had a job posting system. They posted a job I thought I'd give a try. I didn't like the job. And went back to what I was originally doing. Cut to a while later. And I get fired from the job. Career Builder, which I don't have an account for, sends me an email full of job openings for the specific type of work I was doing that I didn't like. I never at any point have listed this job in a resume. Or as experience on an application. So, yeah. Information gets around. My friend's ex-girlfriend brought me a shirt and the tag label was the name of his current girlfriend. Why did your friend's ex-GF bought you a shirt? Ugh. Just on Saturday I was at work annoyingly late pushing on a project that had fallen behind with a looming deadline. It was like 11 PM. I'd been there for over 12 hours. I was totally exhausted and stressed out. And I had one step left to complete before I was gonna leave for the night. I get the piece of equipment ready for the step. Run the test cycles and cleaning to get it all set up and it's working great. I take it to the project. Pull the trigger to start and nothing. The thing totally crapped out somehow between setup and use. Literally screamed and then just left duck it. Ducking like and subscribe.